You're a clown. You had 2 good rounds with Triple G and you are living off that. How long you been pro and you only fought 2 fighters since you've been pro? Sean Porter and Triple G. I'm going to knock you out and take that belt. I'm coming here to take the title. I feel like I'm a better fighter than him. A true champion wants to take the title from a true champion, not a vacated title. I want to beat the champion to become the champion. That is what true champions do. Those are the words of Errol Spence at the press conference today to announce his mandatory title challenge against IBF World Welterweight Champion Kell Brook. The fight will take place at Bramall Lane, the home of Sheffield. Is it Sheffield Wednesday? I believe it's Sheffield Wednesday or United. I'm not sure. Excuse my ignorance. I'm not really into football like that. But it's at Bramall Lane and it will be on Sky Box Office pay-per-view. And the date is May 27th. So the fight is on. For those who are afraid of it not taking place, it's signed and sealed at the moment. So unless somebody pulls out with an injury, then we're going to get it. One of the interesting things for me, seeing both guys face to face, is that Errol Spence actually appears to be a shade taller than Kell Brook. And to me, this is significant because Errol Spence is a guy who likes to apply pressure, likes to get on the inside. And against a Sean Porter type fighter, as Kell Brook faced, who was a short guy that rushes in, he was able to use Porter's hyper aggression against him by getting Porter to rush into clinches. Errol Spence's aggression is much more measured than Sean Porter, and because he's taller and he's a southpaw, I've said this time and time again, and I think this will prove to be the case, I think Errol Spence will be a lot more difficult for Kell Brook to clinch. Now, those of you who are Kell Brook fans out there, and you're saying that the chocolate brownies are going to be landing on Spence and this, that, and the other, they may well do. But what happens when Errol Spence gets up close against Kell Brook? Because Errol Spence, make no mistake about it, is far superior on the inside than, to Kell Brook. He's much better on the inside than Brook is. What is Brook going to do in that situation? He's never faced anybody as formidable up close as Errol Spence. I'm telling you now, Sean Porter's strong up close, but he's wild, he's ragged, he doesn't punch as cleanly as Errol Spence. Spence is a much better body puncher than Sean Porter. I think Spence is just a much better puncher in general than Sean Porter. And look at him and Kell Brook face to face. Look at the height. Spence actually, to me, looks an inch taller at least. So, half an inch, maybe a bit more than an inch. I mean, I don't know what shoes they were both wearing. So we'll have to watch some of the other face-offs that they have. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight. I think that some of the stuff that Errol Spence said was relevant. He's talking about Kell Brook living off 2 good rounds with Triple G. And he's only, after 30 whatever fights he's had, 30 something fights, he's only fought 2 guys of any note, and that is Triple G and Sean Porter, and he lost to one of them. So he makes a good point there. He basically says that, I think, I'm not sure how many fights Errol Spence has had now, but however many fights it is, he's trying to say that he's further along in his career and has fought better opposition than Kell Brook had fought after the same amount of fights. And I think that's something you can't really dispute. Kell Brook obviously wasn't challenging for world titles at the stage of his career that Errol Spence is at. So you got to give Errol Spence credit for that. Also, one thing that Errol Spence brought up at the press conference is that Kell Brook is somebody who balloons up in weight between fights, who likes to eat a lot. And we've seen Kell Brook quite a few times look chubby in the face in between fights. And coming down from middleweight against Triple G, it's going to be difficult for him to adjust his body again to get down to 147 pounds. How much will that weaken him? As well as the punishment that he took in the Triple G fight. These are all things that we have to take into account when we're doing any type of prediction for this particular bout. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about the things that Errol Spence has said. Did he make some good points? Did Kell Brook make some good points in return? Let me know how you feel. Will any of it be relevant on fight night? Me personally, I think, and I've said this many times, you've got a guy in Kell Brook who's fought on a big stage before. So nothing that is said before the fight, I don't think will get to him. He's in his comfort zone. Don't get it twisted. He knows that Errol Spence is dangerous. Both him and his promoter, Eddie Hearn, and his trainer, actually, Dominic Ingle, they all know that Errol Spence is a serious threat, especially Eddie Hearn. That's why he was really not interested in Kell Brook taking this fight. He was desperate for Kell Brook to move up to either fight Pacquiao, Khan, or somebody else at 147, but certainly not Errol Spence. If he weren't going to fight none of those guys, he wanted Brook to move up and vacate and not fight Spence. This is what his own promoter, Eddie Hearn, wanted. So he knows exactly how dangerous Spence is. So they're taking it serious, but the fact that Brook has been in against Sean Porter in the United States, he's been in with Triple G, and that he's fighting in front of his home crowd, I have to imagine that he won't be fazed by anything that happens in the build up to the fight. He's too experienced at this point. But as far as Errol Spence, now he did fight in the Olympics in the UK, so he has that experience under his belt. He has fought in front of some pretty big crowds in the United States, but he's certainly never fought in a lion's den before. He's never been in a situation like this where he'll be walking out to boos and people trying to unnerve him and unsettle him. Now, it might not bother him when he's doing the ring walk, or it might. It remains to be seen. But what happens if the going gets tough for Errol Spence? Maybe he gets dropped. Maybe he gets hurt. And the crowd are baying for his blood. Will he crack at that moment? Or will he show true championship qualities? That remains to be seen. Spence has never been in that position. Brook has. Brook is battle hardened and tested and tough. He's had tough fights with people like Sean Porter. A very tough fight with Carson Jones first time out. And obviously he's coming off a very tough fight, which he lost, in which he was stopped against Triple G. So he's battle hardened. He's teak tough. Errol Spence hasn't been in them kind of crisis situations yet. So we don't know how he's going to react and respond. We may well find out in this fight. Definitely looking forward to this one. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in the video. It's happening. I'm out.